We have seen that when an object is moving in a circle, the most important quantity to look at is this idea of angular velocity. What if the angular velocity is changing? Then we talk about this quantity called angular acceleration, right? Now you have to keep in mind that just like we talk about linear acceleration comes because there is a change in velocity. Angular acceleration comes about when there is a change in angular velocity. Imagine that there is now a particle moving here. Initially it is at this place. This is our initial location. I'll call this theta initial. So that is the angular position in the beginning. At that point the object could have an angular velocity. I'm going to call it omega I at time ti, t initial. So I'm using I to talk about initial. Sometimes people use omega naught or t naught to say t equals 0. That is initial. Absolutely fine. Okay, we could have also called it omega naught or t naught, but I'm now going to use omega I. Okay, so this is happening at the initial time, right? After some time, let us say the particle is here, this angle would be called theta f, the final angular position. At that time, the object has an angular velocity omega f. Now, omega f may not be equal to omega I, and this happens at time tf. So, this time interval delta t, which is tf minus ti, these two are time instants. So, the change in the time is the delta t. Sometimes we will just call it t. So, here we are writing t as delta t. Okay. Now, there is a delta omega. There is a change in omega. How much is that? Omega final minus omega initial. Right? Final omega minus initial omega is delta omega. Exactly like what we would do for v minus u for initial velocity. Final velocity minus initial velocity is the change in velocity. Final omega minus initial omega is the change in omega. When I divide this, I try to find the rate of change of angular velocity. Angular velocity change divided by time should be the rate of change of angular velocity, but I decided to call delta t as t, right? Here. So I'm going to write it as omega final minus omega initial by t. This we call angular acceleration alpha. Like instead of a, we talk about alpha. Now there is a small problem that we need to keep in mind. I have made an assumption here, and the assumption is this is valid if the acceleration or angular acceleration is constant or uniform. Okay? If it is uniform, then this quantity is called the angular acceleration. This quantity is the rate of change of angular velocity. That is, if I went from here to there and I found that the alpha was the same, when I went from here to there, alpha was the same, when I went from here to here, the alpha was the same. Whatever I do, however I calculate alpha, it turns out always to be the same. Then we can use this as the definition for alpha. What happens if it was non-uniform? So in the non-uniform case, what happens? It's a very simple definition. It's just simply rate of change of angular velocity, right? But if it was non-uniform, I cannot use this. Then we write alpha as a very small change in the angular velocity for a very small amount of time. So let us assume that at this point the velocity was omega, and after a little bit of time the velocity had changed by a small quantity d omega. So that means what is the change in angular velocity? D omega. This happens during a time interval of dt, during this time. So then this d omega replaces delta omega, because you say that for such a small time you can call this as a very tiny change in angular velocity by a very tiny time interval during which this change happens. So we call this instantaneous angular acceleration. Now this is always valid. This is always valid. This is not always valid. This is only valid if the angular acceleration is uniform. That is, as I was moving around, the acceleration does not change. Okay. What if the acceleration was changing? Then what would be delta omega? What is this in general? Suppose I didn't want to calculate d omega by dt. I just took final minus initial divided by time. What is that quantity? it should be called average angular acceleration. We put a bar on top. So alpha with a bar on top. So this is called average angular acceleration. Okay. This is also always true. This is always true. This is always true. This is not always true. So sometimes I can, instead of calling it alpha with a bar, that is average angular acceleration, sometimes I just call it angular acceleration. When is that allowed? When the average is the same throughout. That is basically when alpha is constant. So if alpha is constant, what is the average alpha? Same as the alpha. So therefore, this statement I can write only for the uniform case. In general, otherwise, average angular acceleration will be delta omega by delta t. In general, delta omega by delta t does not give us angular acceleration, it gives us average angular acceleration. If it is constant, it gives us angular acceleration. What gives you then the instantaneous angular acceleration? Take a very small time interval. So exactly the same thing, except you are taking the time interval to be really tiny. So we'll write it as d omega by dt. Two things that we should remember, because we should be able to take this and convert. We should be able to write d omega is alpha into dt. Well, that comes straight out of this, right? So the small change in omega is alpha times angular acceleration times dt. So this is one important statement. We won't use it now, but it's a useful thing to keep in mind. It's just the same statement except dt went there. Always delta omega, which is final omega minus initial omega, is always average angular acceleration, okay, into time. Okay? And in special case, this is always true. This is always true. In special cases, that is, when we are talking about the uniform alpha case, then you can say alpha into t for uniform. We will use both of these quite a bit. If you notice, this very much represents, almost looks like the uniform omega and average omega case. For example, we would have written delta theta is always average omega into time, always. And in the special case of uniform omega, we will write omega t is delta theta for uniform omega. This is uniform alpha. That is the only difference. If you notice, this is very much like our equations with straight line motion, right, or linear motion. For example, I would have defined A as v minus u by t. That looks like this. When would I have defined this? If it was uniform acceleration. Otherwise, A average will be v minus u by t. Right? This is always. In which case, I've got only average acceleration. I want instantaneous acceleration. Then you will write A is dv by dt. This looks like this statement. And this looks like this statement. And that looks like that statement. So if you see very similar parallels between what we have learnt in the linear acceleration case and what we have learnt now in angular acceleration case. So basic idea. What is angular acceleration? Rate of change of angular velocity. So delta omega by delta t. If you wanted to say that it was uniform, if it was uniform, then you can make this itself the statement. If it was not uniform, then you think of it, this time interval as really small, so you write it as d omega by dt. And in that case, this is the statement that you can say if your time interval was not small and it was non-uniform, then you will say average angular acceleration is the change in angular velocity divided by time. Let us do a couple of questions to understand this better. So now let us look at this question. So in this question, there is a particle that is moving in a circle of radius 3 meters. Okay. Its velocity at t initial is t equals 3 seconds. It's not t equals 0, notice. Okay. Its velocity is 6 meters per second. It's given. And after some time, that is at t equals 5 seconds, it has an angular velocity of 5 radians per second. We want to find the average alpha. What is average alpha? Average alpha is going to be omega final minus omega initial by the time interval t final minus t initial. What is delta t? T final minus t initial. 5 seconds minus 3 seconds. 5 minus 3 is 2 seconds. This is what we would have earlier called t. Okay, the time interval is 2 seconds. Okay, now before this I need to find out what is omega initial. What is omega initial? You know that V equals R omega. So omega must be V by R. But what is V initial? 6 meters per second by 3. So that is, it is 2 radians per second. That is the initial omega. Final omega is already given to us. It's 5 radians per second. So therefore, average alpha is final omega minus initial omega, which is 2. So I'll mark it here, saying that initially it was 2 radians per second. So that means from 2 it has become 5. So 5 minus 2, that is a change of 3. This is delta omega, right? Divided by the time interval, which is 2 seconds. So this is 3 by 2, 1.5. Now let us think about the units. This is all in radians per second. 5 radians per second minus 2 radians per second, radians per second. This is in seconds. So this would have been in radians per second. This would have been in seconds. So therefore the unit is radians per second square. So the alpha units are always in radians per second square. Okay, because this is in radians per second, this is in seconds. So radians per second square. So I hope that is clear. So first part of the question, what is the average angular acceleration? The answer is 1.5 radians per second square. Okay. Did I use the fact that it was uniform? No, I have not used that. I only used the initial angular velocity and the final angular velocity. I did not use the fact that it is uniform. The second part of the question says assume alpha is uniform. So if alpha is uniform, then, well, the alpha has to be equal to 1.5 radians per second square. We already calculated. Then not alpha bar, just alpha itself has to be 1.5 radians per second square. How do I know? Well, if it is uniform, whatever we calculated as average angular acceleration must be the actual angular acceleration every instant. The question is asking us find omega at t equals 4 seconds. Now 4 seconds is in between these two, so let us say somewhere there. This was 4 seconds, t equals 4 seconds. This is t, let me call it mid, is 4 seconds. So what is the delta t? It is 1 second. I don't know what the angular velocity there is. Let's call it omega. But you know that alpha must be the same. So alpha must be omega minus omega at the 4th second minus omega at the 3rd second. What is omega at the 3rd second? 2 divided by the time interval 1. Correct? Omega final minus omega initial by the time interval. But the time interval is 1 second because t equals 4 seconds. This is t equals 3 seconds. What is the time interval? 1 second. Don't assume that this is 4 seconds of time interval. This is the 4th second. That is t equals 3. This is t equals 4. Okay? So that means the time interval is only 1 second. And so what is the omega there? Omega there minus omega here. Omega here is 2 radians per second. This is omega initial. So omega final minus omega initial by time must be alpha. So this must be alpha, but I already know alpha is 1.5. So that means omega must be 1.5 plus 2, which is 3.5 radians per second. Why radians per second? This is radians per second square into 1 second. We'll make it radians per second. Plus 2, of course, also in radians per second is 3.5 radians per second. So this answer to this part of the question is omega is equal to 3.5 radians per second. Suppose I had not told you alpha is uniform. With just this information, without knowing alpha is uniform, can I calculate omega at the 4th second? No. Because maybe it started out at 2, maybe it remained 2 for a while, and at this point it was only like 2 or 2.1, and then suddenly it started accelerating more. But if it is uniform, then you can actually find out what the omega there should be. Okay, with Average angular acceleration, you only get some broad information. You don't get to know with that what you can calculate at various points. But if I knew that alpha was uniform, then of course I know a lot more information. Let us now look at this question. So this is a question where the alpha is not going to be uniform. Okay, so here we have been given theta as a function of time. So we know theta is 4t cube plus 7t in radians. So that is the angular position of the object. Okay, what is theta at time 0? Because we are interested in 0 to 2 seconds and at 2 seconds. What is theta at 0? 0. You just substitute theta is t equals 0, you will get theta 0 is 0 radians. And what is theta at 2 seconds? Well, if I substitute, I'll get a very large number, which basically means that the angle is going to be somewhere there, because you will get 4 into 2 cube plus 7 into 2, so that is 8 into 4 and so on. So it is definitely a large number. But what I will do is I will say that this point was theta equal to 0. So this is where the object was at t equals 0. But I will pretend like the object was somewhere here, because I don't want to draw multiple turns. So I will pretend that it was here at t equals 2 seconds. Okay? So usually we draw it like this and we call this a schematic diagram. Just like if you have somebody walking for 2 kilometers, you don't draw a 2 kilometer line, you just draw a small line. The same way, we are saying that when you moved from here to there, because in spite of the fact that you turned around a lot, we will use a much smaller sized diagram. Okay, now if I want to find alpha, which is what is the question, you know alpha is d omega by dt. But for this I need to first find omega. And what is omega? Omega is d theta by dt. Right? So that means I need to differentiate theta. And you know the basic differentiation formula, dt power n by dt is n t power n minus 1. So we are going to use this for all of these calculations. So 4 times, if you differentiate theta, it is 4 times differentiation of t cube. Differentiation of t cube is 3t square plus 7 times differentiation of t. Differentiation of t is 1. And so this is going to give me 12t square plus 7, and the units is going to be radians per second, because theta is in radians, t is in seconds. So this is omega. So we have found what is omega as a function of time. We will need this calculation anyway, so I am going to do this separately. What is omega initial? That is at t equals 0. What is omega? I can substitute the value here. If I substitute, I am going to get 7 radians per second, because I substitute t equals 0, 12 into 0 square, okay, plus 7. So that is 7 radians per second. What is omega at 2 seconds? If I calculate, that is not asked in the question, but if I did calculate, 12 times 2 square, 12 times 2 square plus 7. So that is 4 into 12, 48 plus 7. 48 plus 7 is 55 radians per second. So you can calculate omega at any time you feel like using this. But I don't need these numbers. What I need is actual function of omega, function of as a function of time. I want omega as a function of time, because if I want to differentiate, there is no point in calculating the value at various time instants. You need it as a function of time, because only then you can differentiate. So now what is alpha? D omega by dt. If I differentiate this, it is 12 times differentiation of t square, which is 2t, plus 7's differentiation. It's a constant. When you differentiate a constant, you get 0. So therefore this is 24. 12 times 2 is 24t radians per second square. So that is alpha at any time. The first part of the question is asking us to find alpha at t equals 2 seconds. Right? You want alpha at t equals 2 seconds. I will call it alpha 2. Okay? What is alpha at 2 seconds? Substitute. You get 24 into 2, 48 radians per second square. So this is the answer to that question. If I had wanted alpha at 0, I can substitute t equals 0 and I will get 0 radians per second square. You can see that alpha is a function of time, it's changing with time, it is not a constant, so alpha is a variable. It varies from point to point. Okay, now let us calculate the second part of the question, which is asking us to find average alpha. Now, average alpha is final value of omega minus initial value of omega by the time, delta omega by delta t. In this case, final value of omega 2 seconds, because we want between the time interval 0 to 2, omega 2 minus omega naught divided by 2 seconds. Omega 2 I have already calculated, it is 55, omega naught is 7 by 2, this is 48 by 2, so that is 24 radians per second square. So this is the average value of alpha for the first 2 seconds. Please notice this is different from the instantaneous value of alpha, which happens at 2 seconds, right? Why? Because alpha is changing. In fact, if I try to calculate at this point omega naught, what was omega naught? 7 radians per second. And at this point omega 2 was 55 radians per second. Right? Omega is changing. And at this point, if you wanted to calculate alpha, what was alpha naught? 0. Alpha naught was 0 radians per second square. At this point, alpha 2, instantaneous alpha, was 48 radians per second square. 48 radians per second square. And if you're looking at some average alpha, that's what we have calculated, average alpha. To calculate average alpha, you need omega final and omega initial. We use those two values. When we calculate average alpha, it turns out to be 24 radians per second square. It does make sense, you know. Final value is 48, initial value is 0. Somewhere in between, we are talking about an average value which is 24. Remember, average may not always be 48 plus 0 by 2. It happens to be in this case because this is a linear function of time. But in general, suppose it was t power 4, you will find that that average sum of the two endpoints you can't add up and divide by 2. But in general, how will I find instantaneous angular acceleration? By differentiating. How will I find average angular acceleration? By finding omega. So I hope that difference is clear. So very, very simple. We now have known, we can basically calculate how to calculate angular acceleration if it is uniform. We know how to calculate angular acceleration if it is non-uniform. And we also know how to calculate average angular acceleration. So if we do a few questions, we'll get a good hang of this.